Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Here we are in beautiful central Wisconsin. The past 2 days have been absolutely gorgeous. The kind of days that make you want to be in Wisconsin. A absolute beautiful blue sky. The trees have all come out. The leaves are in full, deep, lush green foliage. The sky is not only that magnificent blue, but humidity has been running right around 62%, between 58-62%. We have had a light breeze out of the northwest at approximately 3 to 5 miles an hour, and the temperature has been between 71 and 74 degrees. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is why I love Wisconsin. We have so many days like this when we get to summer. The problem is getting to summer. I'm your co-host today, one of your co-hosts. I'm Eric Hambrock from the band B. Andrews, because this is the B. Andrews Radio Show. And the other co-host is across the room, and he is John. Say hi, John.
Hi.
Yeah.
So
Really? I'm so glad you... I don't know if you could tell it in my voice. I'm dragging just a little bit. I'm a little tired. There's something about today is a hammock type of day. You know, we've been really rushing the past weekend. By the way, shout out to Cedar Springs Camp down in Iowa. It is the district camp for the Wesleyan Church of the Iowa, Minnesota districts of the Wesleyan Church. And I said districts, excuse me. Iowa, Minnesota is one district of the Wesleyan Church, and the Cedar Springs camp is one of their campground for that district. I'll get my words straight here in a minute.
Oh boy,
I really need to be in a hammock somewhere between. Well, up here it'd be between two pine trees, but I would love to be in a hammock between two palm trees down in the Caribbean. That would just be awesome, you know. But instead, I would love to be right now in a hammock between two pine trees here in Wisconsin. That would be awesome.
I'd settle for that.
Yes, I would. Like I said, 58 to 62% humidity, 71 to 74 degrees outside, sunshine, blue skies, constant 3 to 5 mile an hour breeze. So that way, if the sun hits you, you got just a little bit enough of a breeze to cool the skin off. You know, it's just. Oh, it's gorgeous outside. And here we are inside doing a radio show. One of these times we're going to have to take it outside. Can we do that? They can't hear your brain rattling.
Well, you know.
John's saying, no, we can't do that. We got to find a way to do that. We'll run the cords outside. Well, you know what? You stay in here and run my microphone and cord outside. I'll do it from outside. You can do it in here.
That's just not no.
Oh, come on, man.
No, that's a bad idea.
Oh, well, back to the shout out. Shout out to the folks down at the Cedar Springs camp. It was absolutely awesome. We got to lead worship for Celebrate Recovery Group. And I'll tell you what, I can do that a lot. They are fun. They are awesome. They are a great group of people to lead worship to and with. And to be around. They're very gracious, very complimentary. You know, I think we could have messed up a lot and we would have never known it with them. So it's the leader, I believe he is the leader of the group, but he's the one who contacted us. So I guess I got a shout out to Larry Ansbach and say thank you for having us down. And it's if you ever get an opportunity, Larry, if you can hear this, if you're listening to this radio show, we're available for next year. I'd love to come back. So just putting it out there. I'd love to come back so much I can put it out there on the open air, on this microphone, on this radio show. Larry, call us. We'll come back and play next year.
And the weather's beautiful this time of year in Wisconsin. I can't really say the same thing about Iowa, but it's always really hot when we go there.
Oh, not as hot as last summer, though.
Well, That was ridiculous.
That was really ridiculous. Those people in Iowa, bless their hearts. No wonder there's air conditioning in every building. It is worse than Florida. It was worse than Florida. We went down there. We played at their family camp, the district family camp last year, and we led worship for a couple of days. And as we were down there, the very first thing that happened, we pulled onto the campgrounds. We get out of the Suburban, and there was so much humidity outside, my glasses fogged. I mean, in the middle of summer at 97 degrees, and my glasses still fogged.
I remember that. You stepped out because we had the air conditioning on. You stepped out, and you're like, whoa.
It was like hitting a wall. It was like being in the steam room. It was like hitting a wall of water. It was... Oh my goodness, it was terrible. And that night, I think it was that night, wasn't that the night the youth had, they were doing a nighttime capture the flag, but they were using glow sticks, I think. And I saw the youth pastor coming in. Well, now where they had us stay as the singers and so forth, nice, air conditioned. It was sweet. The youth pastor comes walking in, and I mean, the poor guy, it's nighttime. It should be cooler, right? He is soaking wet. And I'm like, did you fall in the river? Because they have a river that runs by the campgrounds. Did you fall in the river? No, man. This is just sweat. I was like, miserable. It was like 86 degrees at midnight and still running 90-some% humidity. The fog was coming down. It was so thick there. Last year, it was pretty miserable. It was pretty miserable. So anyway, shout out Larry Ansbach. Thank you for having us. We were at the Cedar Springs camp, and it was a magnificent time, a great time in Christ, a great time in sharing with the folks there. Great time around the fireside. Did a fireside type of concert, I guess you would call it. It was a bit impromptu. We got there, and Larry said, "Could you guys play outside tonight?" Well, yeah, I guess we can. And immediately we started setting up, getting ready for a concert that night. Didn't know that was going to happen, but it was still great. And thank you guys for having us. Which reminds me of something there, young man, that I'd like to bring up today. Last week we talked about things to do during the summer, but I kind of wanted to get from you some of the places where we have been personally, so that, we kind of put our own personal stamp of approval on places where we've been and go, yeah, that was a cool place to be, and I highly recommend it. Or before you speak, a place where we went to and we say, don't go there.
You mean like for visiting during the summer?
Yeah, summer activity, places where we've been. We didn't get to touch on that last week, and so I kind of thought, yeah, well, let's finish that so we could put a personal recommendation behind some things.
Including camp?
Including camps. We'll pull that up in the second portion of our show. But right here, the first one, where places we've traveled, gone across the country, places that you could go, yeah, man, you really ought to go there, ought to see that. That was really cool. Those kinds of things, because we personally were there and thought it was pretty fascinating.
Okay. The zoo's fun in the summer. I've been to the Cincinnati Zoo. If you're looking for a stamp of disapproval,
yes,
probably going in like the spring or fall would be better than like baking on the asphalt in the middle of the summer at the Cincinnati Zoo. But the aquarium, right across the river in Newport, the aquarium's pretty cool. It's all indoors, and so it's nice and cool. And
all right, Newport Aquarium.
They actually. What?
I was getting ready to ask. So, why recommend it? What's your recommendation? What happened while you were there?
It's fun. Okay, when I was there, they had an aviary set up. Think
a
that
place
through.
where you keep birds.
Okay, yeah, and we're talking about like
not even
any of the birds, not any of the birds that live in the water. So there was no flamingos or penguins in this exhibit.
Okay, stop right there. This is an aquarium.
Correct.
So
they put in an aviary.
With no waterfowl?
No. These were all just, like rainforest birds and stuff. I don't get it. Anyway.
I'm failing to see the connection. Okay, keep
there's
going.
There's not one. Anyway, when we were there, I went with Grandma, and one of the birds tried to land and got caught in her hairnet, and it was freaking out because it didn't know it had anything to worry about, and it suddenly was caught in the net, and Grandma's freaking out because she's got this bird that's hanging off the side of her head trying to fly away. It was amusing.
So,
It was pretty funny.
was it big enough to have flown away with her?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it
so we're
was like
talking
a-
little bird.
Yeah, it was a pretty little bird, and you
okay.
could feed them and stuff.
Oh,
and
it was
then,
a pretty little bird?
then they had an exhibit where you could pet sharks.
Oh.
And like little ones, not like the big ones that could take off your arm, but like
but
the little
all
ones.
size sharks bite.
Well, it almost bit me. It tried to. And earlier there was a kid that was bitten. And
No, wait a minute. Wait. Let me get this straight. So you have an aquarium that will allow you to stick your hand in the water where sharks are.
well, they're like swimming around in this really shallow pool.
No, don't add to it. Let's just get the facts. It was an aquarium that had sharks that you could stick your hand in the water.
To be fair, they said pet their backs and don't stick your hands in front of their face. But that was basically like the prelude to it. Use 2 fingers and gently run them down their back as they swim by. Do not stick your hands in front of their face.
It's a Shark Tank with sharks, and they're saying, "Go ahead, put your hands in it."
Well, no, you weren't. I mean, well, anyway. There was also a horseshoe crab there, and I got to tickle a horseshoe crab.
Oh, did it chuckle? Yuck, 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 yuck.
Well, that's actually kind of what it does. You like, they flip it over, and you like rub its underbelly, and it's like, because it can't do anything because you're holding it up, like holding it upside down.
It's kind of like a post turtle, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. And it's like, oh, it's like, stop it, you evil people, torturous treatment. Anyway,
Oh, humans. Okay,
so that's a fun thing to do in the summer, you know.
It is. It
Especially when you can't, like,
tickle horseshoe crabs. If you can't go anywhere, find a horseshoe
yeah.
crab, turn it over and tickle it.
If you can't go all the way, like, down to Florida, out to California to see the nice, the cool aquatic animals, the fish and the dolphins, it's cool to get to go to an aquarium, so you kind of get that beach feel.
Yeah.
And it's air conditioned, so I mean, it's
there
almost
you
the
go.
best of all worlds
There
if you
you
think
go.
about it.
Absolutely. So we're doing a lot of things. You've picked up on things from your childhood around the Cincinnati area, I see.
Actually, we'd lived up here already.
Okay, we may have lived up here, but you picked up things from your childhood out of the Cincinnati area because we had family down there. So
Yeah, we went down
travel.
to visit.
So it's an area that we get to be around a lot. So if I was to stay there, I would recommend out of the Cincinnati area. I would recommend Kings Island. If anybody's in the Cincinnati area, it's out on the north side of Cincinnati. It's an amusement park. If you know what a Six Flags is, Kings Island is like Six Flags. They do shows, roller coasters.
Roller coasters.
Sorry.
coasters.
If you're in the Cincinnati area on the south side, northern Kentucky side, there is by Answers in Genesis.
Oh, the Creation Museum.
The Creation Museum. Yeah, it's over in northern Kentucky. That is something not only great to see, great to do for vacation, but it's also something that'll help increase your faith. So if you ever get a chance to do that, they just opened up a secondary exhibit.
The Ark Encounter.
Ark Encounter.
But
that's
it's not
what
in the
called.
same place. It's further down.
All right. And it's supposed to be the same 2-scale replica of Noah's Ark, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. So, well, listen, just if you go to the website Answers in Genesis, you can probably find all the information there, but strongly recommend, encourage people, go check that out. That's a summer thing to do. Now, that's something I recommend from other people, but it's something we haven't done. So back on the task.
I've been to the Creation Museum.
It's
pretty awesome.
Did I just get smacked?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, you did.
okay. I haven't been there. John's been there.
Got that right.
Okay.
VIP.
So, up here in Wisconsin, what can you recommend?
Oh, Devil's Lake.
Devil's
Down
Lake.
in Baraboo. They're down south of Baraboo.
Okay.
Devil's Lake's awesome. The trails, they've got the glen out there. You can hike all the trails along the bluffs on either side of the lake. You can swim and fish in the lake. They actually practice and teach scuba diving there.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I guess there's a real deep part of the lake there, like 60 feet.
Okay.
It actually gets down to.
Wow.
But you can also snorkel along the side of the bluffs where like the rocks have slid down. You can snorkel along the side there. It's really, really cool.
All right. So Devil's Lake has now become a recommendation.
We haven't even talked about Noah's Ark and the Dells.
Yeah.
My
Supposed to be
goodness.
America's largest outdoor water park. That's a lot of fun. They also have down there, trying to think of the other outdoor water park is,
They've got a lot of them.
But
the big one is Mount Olympus.
Mount Olympus, that's the new one. So we'll talk about a few more of these. I need a refill on my coffee. I'm sure you do too, or your beverage of choice. So get that refill and come on back and listen to the B. Andrews Radio Show. So let's call him Joe, cause he's a real good friend. He wants to start a fight when things aren't right in this world that we're living in. So it says to him, Joe, I know that you know that fighting never pays. So instead of a fight when things aren't right, why don't you start with a quarter parade? Na, 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 na. Sing the quarter praise. Na, truth that folks don't understand. Everything that happens in our lives comes from God's own hand. Everybody has a choice that they can make. Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Really great to have you today. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you didn't, we wouldn't have a radio show. It's just that simple. Today, what is the brew of choice today, young man? You got the French press going. What did you make for me today?
This is a Starbucks.
Oh, we're using a Starbucks roast?
Yes, it's their Christmas blend, actually. They found an old one that they were getting rid of. It's really good.
Good.
I see it as more of an all year round coffee.
Yes. Do you know what makes it a Christmas blend?
The packaging.
I gotcha. I was going to say, it's really good as a French roast. So John grounded it up. We boiled our water, put it in the bottom of the French press. Not French roast. I said French roast, didn't I?
Pretty sure I didn't have to grounded it. Pretty sure I just ground it.
You grounded it.
I did not ground it.
Okay.
You grind it.
You grind it.
I did not grind it. I ground it.
Put it in the bottom of the French press. Put the boiling water in on top of it. Let that baby kind of do its thing in there, Let the heat of the water and let the coffee kind of go together and make it explode in order to release the oils into the water and the flavor from the bean. And then he pushed down the press in order to give us that caffeinated goodness that I am now supping in my cup. Did you like that?
Wow. Okay.
I like coffee, man.
Anyway, so where do you guys like to go for the summer?
Well, I'll tell you what, that would be a really cool thing to know. We're going to put that up on our Facebook page. So why don't you connect with us on Facebook at B. Andrews, like a guy's name, B-E, first name, last name, Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W-S, and post some things up there about things that you like to do during the summer. We are next to a huge tourist trap right here in Wisconsin, known as the Wisconsin Dells. Hancock, where we live, is about 50 minutes away, depending on time of year and traffic and weather conditions kind of thing. So I roughly say anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour away from the Wisconsin Dells. And the Wisconsin Dells is known as
the water park capital of the world, or
yes.
America. I think it's America.
America. Let's not get carried away there.
Yeah, let's not get carried away.
And you were going to say about Noah's Ark?
Oh yeah, Noah's Ark. Well, about that, like you're talking about pros and cons to doing things in the summer. I would say cons to doing it in the summer, just like at the zoo, you have to walk around to the different rides and stand in line for them, so it's a great way to get sunburnt and baked to a crisp. But at the same time, because we're still in Wisconsin...
But I will say, Noah's Ark, most of their stuff is not asphalt, it's concrete.
Okay, but you're still underneath the sun outside of the water, and
it's the water reflection that gets you there, not the asphalt.
Bad too. But at the same time, the pro to doing to the summer versus any early fall or late spring, you can get away with that. If we were in Cincinnati even, but down a little down further south, but up here, even in June, you can get a really, really cold day. We went there in June, and I remember every time the sun went behind a cloud, I was just like, it's so cold.
It didn't keep you from getting in the water, though, did it?
Well, I was in the water going, it's so cold. But you were saying that the Dells remind you of someplace else.
Yes, the Dells are very much, for those people in the eastern United States, the Dells are very much like Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So in Gatlinburg and Dells, what they call a tourist trap.
We mentioned that last episode, though.
Yeah, but we have been, and I have been to Gatlinburg several times. So we talk about places to go. So you got Gatlinburg / Pigeon Forge. There are two little towns back to back. You drive out of one right into the other.
That's where all those really bad wildfires have been happening, right?
Down
in that area?
Earlier this year, yes, they had wildfires in the Smoky Mountains.
They had wildfires.
Sorry, it's my southern roots coming out.
I was going to say, someone's been listening to too many Smokey the Bear commercials with Sam Elliott.
Only you can prevent wildfires. Yeah.
You wish.
Yeah. But the Smoky Mountains are absolutely beautiful down there. And you got, I wish I could speak like that. And you got Gatlinburg. I heard you.
Don't
and you
we
got
all?
Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. A lot of tourist trap, little shops, little places come in, spend your money. Dollywood is down there. It has some of the rides and the attractions to it, but it's mainly about country music. So yeah, but both of those towns are very much tourist trap. The difference between the Wisconsin Dells and Gatlinburg is that Gatlinburg is nestled in the Smoky Mountains, and the mountains is the backdrop, and it's a little flatter and is more about water down in the Wisconsin Dells because it's on a river. Lake Delton is over there, and you have the show. I'm trying to think the Bartlett, the Tommy Bartlett show, water show. It's been there for years, and they still do it.
I think that's right.
So all that's pretty cool. But I will say, back when I was a youth pastor in Cincinnati, we took our youth group camping in Gatlinburg so that we could kind of have the best of both worlds. We have youth group camping, and I kind of did my own youth camp at this KOA. It was pretty cool. We rented out the cozy cabins at the KOA, and the kids stayed there. And so at nighttime, we would have all the camp activities with the youth group, but in the daytime, we would figure out things to go do at Gatlinburg or go into town, or because we also had the vans with us, we could drive into town. One time we went out hiking. That's where we got to go to Abram Falls, and so you hiked 2.5 miles in and 4.5 miles back out. The way coming out was longer than the way coming in, so we came out the end when we got done. It was too far. We didn't want to go hiking at all. But it was really cool. Had falls up at the top. Got to see the falls. They had these great big huge logs that was floating out in the pool area underneath. And the kids got in the water and they were riding on the logs out underneath the falls. It was a great day. And they were really tired, and everybody slept well that night when we got in. But that's part of that camping experience that we were talking about last week, and love to do camps. And so one of the things that we got to do, or one of the things I guess I should say that I can recommend, is I've spent a lot of time on different campgrounds that have been run by churches and other groups. So we're talking about church camps. I'm not talking about state campgrounds or places where you go and pitch a tent. I'm talking about the kind of campgrounds as youth, where they own youth group camps, kids camps, family camps, things like that have the cabins already on them, have a dining hall there. You pay to go to camp, and they have organized activities. Sometimes it's horseback riding. Sometimes it's going off grounds to a water park like at Wyandotte Lake outside of Columbus, Ohio. Do you remember? We took you to Wyandotte Lake a couple of times. You got burnt to a crispy critter.
I remember Chris got burnt real bad.
Yeah, Chris got burnt bad at Wyandotte Lake.
From stories, I don't ever remember going to Wyandotte.
Yeah, we took you a couple of times when I was a camp counselor. So that's one of the other things. I didn't just go to those camps. I did as a kid, but I also worked those camps when I got older and volunteered as a camp counselor because they're really, really fantastic. And got some really unique stories. My first year as a camp counselor, you got to love this.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, my first year as a camp counselor, they gave me all the kindergartners. So I'm 16 years old. I was supposed to be a camp helper, but they were running short on staff. So they stuck me with another adult and then split the cabin into two. And I had 9 kindergartners that I was in charge of. I was their camp counselor that year. And then there was an older guy who had his son with him. And so his son was 3. His son's name was Peter. I'll never forget this. And he had his son that had to stay with us in our boys' dorm. And he had 9 kindergartners also. So between the two of us, there's 18 kindergartners in this dorm. They're going to be there all week long. And plus, the adult that was with me had his 3-year-old son, Peter. So most of the time, actually, I did most of the nighttime work so that the other camp counselor could take care of his son. So that's where I learned how to get kids washed in an assembly line. So
jump in the shower, jump out. Jump in the shower, jump out.
That's right. I would line them up, make sure they all had their soap, their towels, and they would walk in, soap up, rinse off. I'd hand them the towel, they come out. Next kid would go in, and then when they came out, I had their toothbrushes lined up so they would go down the lines, line up in front of the sink, brush their teeth, they'd go on. And by the time the last one was coming out, the first one was finishing brushing his teeth, and then I could catch up with them at the front end of the line, keep them all together. They were called my ducklings during the week. Everybody's like, hey, anybody seen Eric's ducklings anywhere? I mean, he's got them all. And I started going through all 18 so that the adult could get his son Peter, and that's where it all turns around, because you see, one night I needed to do something and he hadn't been working with them. And so he took his son Peter in with the rest of them. And we got down to the dorm, and he was trying to keep the kids together. He wasn't using the same system that I was using, that they had all gotten accustomed to. And so he has them all together, lines them all. So he finally gets them all back down to the dorm. He was using more of, instead of the duckling style, he was using the herding style. Yeah. And it was too much freedom for these little guys. And so he gets them all back to the dorm, including his 3-year-old son, Peter. And all of a sudden, things kind of broke loose. Somebody dropped a toothbrush along the way. Somebody did that. And he's paying so much attention to him. He was dressing his son, Peter. And Peter was standing on the bed, and he was trying to get him dressed while the other guys was having a problem. So he turned his attention away from his son, Peter, on to the kindergartners to help them out. And when he turned around, Peter, who was butt naked, was gone. and he's looking around and he's going, where's Peter? Has anybody seen Peter? About that time, we heard the door slam that led outside. Wham! And he goes, no! And he hit that door, and all you could hear across the campground was, Peter, come back! And so his son was streaking across the campgrounds.
That's funny. That's funny.
That's pretty good. It was at Victory Camp, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of Victory Camp.
Well, no, I was only 15 at that time. So.
Well, I mean, you kept going there until I was 6.
Yeah.
Like
Victory Camp was really cool. So, any camp stories?
Any camp stories? Let's Let's see here.
I'll tell you what. Let's take a break now because I need a refill on my coffee. John's got to think of a camp story.
Yeah, I
and you can think of a good camp story. If you've ever been to a youth camp, family camp, kids camp, anything like that, if you got a good camp story, share it with us on our Facebook page. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Grab something to drink and come on back. Let's finish this topic. I didn't know I had any of the symptoms. To the best of my knowledge, I had never had a problem before. All I did was enter the coffee shop and the lady behind the counter said, "Morning, hun." And I looked at the glass case and saw my reflection. There it was, on my face. Smiley fascia.
Smiley fascia, or smiley face, is a condition caused by feelings of uncontrollable joy, peace, or tranquility. From the labs of Pharmaceuticals Unlimited comes Depressia. Depressia is for those who are experiencing symptoms of smiley fascia or smiley face. Other symptoms may include singing, whistling, or in rare cases, skipping. Not all smiling is related to smiley fascia. Seeing others knocked down or in pain might also lead to smiling. Ask your doctor about the difference. Depressia is the first truly green drug, as we have used recycled cyanide, mercury, DDT, and a dash of sodium chloride. Using Depressia can help you lessen your carbon footprint on the planet.
Once I started taking Depressia, I felt so bad, I didn't have anything to smile about.
85% of those taking Depressia in our lab trials experienced lung failure, kidney failure, liver failure, death, and death-like symptoms. While taking Depressia, do not come into contact with sunlight or be around uplifting people, or this may hamper the depressing effects of the drug. If you continue to have uncontrollable feelings of joy, peace, and tranquility while taking Depressia, contact your doctor right away, as this might be a sign of deeper psychosis.
Depressia took the smile right off my face.
If you're struggling with smiley fascia, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's an oncoming train.
Depressia is not recommended by anyone and is not in stores. Depressia is solely a mythical product of Pharmaceuticals Unlimited and is presented by the AvLib Council. Ask your doctor about Depressia.
This was brought to you by the HBC, the Hambone Broadcasting Corporation.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show, and today's pseudo-sponsor is
Betsy May's Beauty Salon, where their motto is, "We do hair, not miracles."
Thank you, Betsy May, for sponsoring our show. Pseudo-lee sponsoring. Is that? Can you pseudo-lee sponsoring?
I don't know. How did you get an
Pseudo-lee?
Right.
It's an adverb which modifies. Adverb modifies a verb. The verb was sponsoring, so pseudo-lee sponsoring.
Hey, stop. It's summer. Don't talk English.
Oh, my bad. All right. We were talking about camps and camp experiences.
You know what you don't do at camp? You don't do English at camp.
We all know you don't speak English at camp. Oh, no. We use sign language. We actually
do that a lot.
We are the order of the fork.
We are.
Camp song.
Yeah.
On a day like this, on a day like this, on a day like this. Oh, yeah. I need the Lord to help me. Okay.
Fun stuff. So my story. You asked me about a funny story I have from camp. So, I was working this camp, and me and another counselor, for those of you who know me, I am a full whopping 5'7", and this other counselor I was with is a full whopping 6'3", and he's a big 6'3". Dude's name is Rick. He's a cool guy. Either way, so we're in the chapel. The chapel's got a steepled roof, like most steepled ceiling. Like
you mean it has an apex?
Yes, it has an apex, and so it slopes. The ceiling is lower by the walls than it is in the middle, right? So I was, picking this kid up, like lifting him up from the back because there was this concert going on in the chapel, and I'm lifting him up and down and stuff, and my arms are getting tired because the kid's more than half my size. Either way, so we go over, we're standing over by Rick, and I'm like, why don't you get Rick to lift you up? And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's got this nice deep voice. And he's like, oh, yeah, come over here and everything. I'm like, careful. Don't hit his head on the ceiling. And he's like, yeah, like this. And he grabs him. And I'm sure what he was doing was he was looking at the ceiling at its apex out towards the middle of the room, not thinking about what was right over his head. And I kid you not, he threw that kid up in the air right against the ceiling. I was stunned. I'm sitting here staring at him like, you just nailed his head down the ceiling. And he sets the kid down, and we're staring at him, waiting to see what the kid's going to do. The kid rubs his head like this and then looks up at him and like smiles, and we're like, okay, we're good.
Oh, man.
There's no compression neck fractures or anything. We're all good. I mean, he nailed his head in the
man.
Like, much harder, and he might have put a
hole in the ceiling?
hole in the plaster.
Oh, my
I mean, he was just like, and was like, anyway.
Well, I remember one particular camp that I was working. Now you know Larry, right? Larry is,
yeah.
He is the most awesome camp director.
I like Larry.
Larry is a cool dude.
We love
Larry was a camp director of a kids camp. And I was his assistant camp director one particular year, and the particular camp that we were in had all wooden dorms. All wooden dorm has a tendency to creak and everything that goes along with it. And all the roads at this camp were all gravel. So if you couldn't walk on the road, you'd kick up the gravel, you could hear the gravel. So if you wanted to do anything on the road, if you wanted to be sneaky or whatever, you stayed off the road. And
I can remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, one particular night, about 11 o'clock, this one particular dorm, all wood, has little guys in it. I should say little guys, but actually it's the 5th, 6th graders that are there that particular dorm, that particular year. And we were having problems with them. Now the dorm here, the apex went up, but they didn't build the walls to match the apex of the roof. They just build the walls straight across. So there's a gap. The wall only goes up about 6.5 feet, and then there's a gap. They did that so the air would move through the dorm, and they would trap the heat up because they could get really hot in those dorms. No air conditioning in these things, old wooden structures. So anyway, we're down in front helping out the security guy. It's 11 o'clock, and the kids are just wound up. Tighter than an 8-day clock, and they're just being noisy, doing this, that, and the other. And a couple of times from down below, we're outside at a picnic table underneath it's an upstairs, and we kind of shouted a little bit up to the windows, "Hey, guys, be quiet. We can hear you all the way out here." And then they piped down for about 5 minutes, and then slowly we could start hearing them going. Well, pretty soon, most of the rooms started falling asleep, except for one room that had 3 boys in it, and they just would not quit. And we're heading on to 11:15, 11:20. Larry finally looks at me and he goes, "I got an idea." He takes off his shoes. And it's all gravel. You can't get into it without going off the gravel. He takes off his shoes, goes across the gravel. You cannot hear him. He goes up the steps. I don't know how he did it. Steps did not creak on him one bit. He goes into the room opposite of the boys. He scales the wall a little bit. Now it's all dark in there. And he scales the wall a little bit to where he's over the wall looking down on the 3 boys that are there. And they all think they're being real quiet, but they're talking about this loud, and we can hear them all the way outside. And I'm outside just kind of like, I wonder when I'll know when he hits. And then all of a sudden I hear I'm hearing, and it just stopped like that. About a minute and a half later, Larry comes down the steps and around and he has got this smile on his face. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "One of them looked up at me and saw me, and then all their eyes looked up at me, and that was it. Nobody talked the rest of the night."
I will have you know, I was scared to death of Larry when I was a kid. When I'm a little kid, I mean, we hid when he came walking to the other side of the campgrounds. Like, we would literally hide.
It truly is the Fu Manchu mustache. I mean, Larry wears a full-born Fu Manchu, and he had scaled that wall, and the one kid looked at the other, and all of a sudden he just stopped. When he froze, the other eyes looked up at him, and he's got these steel blue eyes that almost glow in the dark, and he's just staring down at them, and those kids just freaked. Never said anything.
I can't believe they didn't scream. It's like...
And they never said. Larry was pretty proud of himself with that one. Oh, it was great. It was great. So those are stories that we have. Again, if you got any great camp stories, share them on our Facebook page. We would greatly appreciate it. Or if you got any recommendations, places to go see out and about near you, let us know about it. Put that on the Facebook page too. We're going to take a little soft break here and refill our mugs, get something a little bit more to drink, and we're going to sum up the show when we come back. So you're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Come on back when you can.
Well, there's a guy I know, so let's call him Joe, 'cause he's a real good friend. He wants to start a fight when things aren't right in this world that we're living in. So it says to him, Joe, I know that you know that fighting never pays. So instead of a fight when things aren't right, why don't you start with a chord of praise? Na, 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 na. Sing the chord of praise. Na, 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 na. Sing the chord of praise. There is a simple truth that folks don't understand. Everything that happens in our lives comes from God's own hand. Everybody has a choice that they can make every day. You can choose to ignore what comes from God or sing the word of praise.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. So as we wrap up this episode, again, thanks for stopping by, and don't forget to be with us every Tuesday. Tuesdays are a great day. We put a lot of time, a lot of effort, research, things like that into having this radio show, and we want you to enjoy it. Let us know about it, and do take the time to enjoy it, and hopefully you can become a regular and share it with your friends. Tuesdays after 2 o'clock is when they post. And just share it around. It's a great time. And back to the idea of camps, we really want to promote that kind of thing. We were just down at the Celebrate Recovery retreat, which was at a church campgrounds, and we had the worship, had a great time. Watched the families that came in, saw them tubing together as families down there on the Cedar Rapids River over in Iowa. And I was just thinking, what makes camp such an enduring thing? If you were to put your finger on it, John, what makes camp so endearing to you? What is it about it that makes you keep wanting to come back?
There's a lot of things. I mean,
well, just start rattling them off.
Well, first off, there's a lot of memories for me. The memories, the fun with friends, a lot of it's good, clean fun because of the environment that it's in. So it's not, I guess you could say it's not tainted.
Okay.
It's good fellowship, good fun. The games you get to play that you don't get to usually play because you get everybody in one place.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the games. Michigan Camp has some of the most ultimate youth games I have ever seen.
By ultimate, he means barbaric. And by barbaric, he means the game Barbarian. I guess I do. Anyway, but, I mean, yeah, the people, and I guess part of that is getting to be around some of the other believers would have to be part of that, and you get to worship with them, have fun with them, you play together, you eat together. It's just great. It's a retreat. You're not... You take a break from the rest of the... maybe that's a big part of it, too. You take a break from the rest of the world, and it's like the retreat. Larry Ansbach was talking about it, about basically like even in a battle, a tactical retreat to pull back and regroup. It's like that. I mean, for like a week, you get to check out of listening to the radio, about hearing... politics on the news, all the bad things happening and stuff. And
that's cool and interesting that you would say that, because one of the things that he had mentioned was about turning off your phones. So, listen, if you get a chance, do a camp. They are absolutely fantastic, awesome to do. Let your kids check out a Christian youth camp, a Christian kids camp, a vacation Bible school, something like that is a retreat for them during the summer. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. We're here on Tuesdays after 2 p.m. we post, and I just want to invite you, come on back. And I want to thank you for listening and tell everybody, have a great week. God bless. We'll see you next time.